He then shook off Li Dongyang's hand, declaring, "This grandfather, I do not acknowledge." As soon as he finished speaking, Li Bi's brother appeared and countered, "Injuring family members is unkind. Refusing to admit your fault is unrighteous. You claim the Li family has treated you unfairly, but in truth, you're just a rebellious ingrate." Chen Mo laughed and said, "I am not a Li. Your words mean nothing to me." Seeing that arguments about family ties were futile, Li Trak resorted to threats, declaring that Li Zufang's Manhwa corporation would be destroyed, and the Li family would annihilate the Chen family. But to Chen Mo, the Li family was nothing more than ants. Li Trak thought that Chen Mo did not understand the power of the Li family. If he kneeled and apologized now, perhaps there would be an exception, and he could be added to the Li family's genealogy. On the contrary, if things went wrong, the entire Chen family would be destroyed within 5 years. Chen Mo looked at him coldly and said, "You are not worthy." Then, he threatened that in 3 years, he would make the Li family kneel at his feet, begging for forgiveness. After that, Li Dongyang declared that today's matter would end here. He pointed directly at Chen Mo and stated that from now on, the Li family would consider Manhwa Corporation and the Chen family as their greatest competitors. This final decision of Li Dongyang caused Li Zufang to worry. The Li family was incredibly powerful, and if targeted, her family could face financial ruin. Chen Mo reassured Zufang to leave this pointless and meaningless place. There was nothing more to say, so she reluctantly accepted the situation. Now, all she could do was protect Manhwa Corporation with all her might. Afterward, the two left, amidst the hateful glares of others, as the Li family set the date for the great battle between the two powerful families. After comforting his mother, Chen Mo returned to Detang, to the antique market, to buy some jade stones for arranging a formation. He didn't need to be too picky, as long as the jade contained the essence of heaven and earth. However, after a while of searching, he could not find any jade with such energy. Suddenly, he noticed a stall owned by an elderly man dressed in ancient clothes, which seemed out of place. He approached and asked about a pair of jade lions priced at 1,000. He then inquired about a painting nearby, priced at 2,000. Chen Mo paused for a moment before asking about a green stone. At this point, the old man's eyes showed a slight change. He said that the stone had been found on the road, and if Chen Mo wanted it, he could have it, but he had to tell him its use. Chen Mo knew the old man had detected his intentions, but he still carefully hid his curiosity. Despite the stone looking ordinary, it contained a vast amount of heaven and earth energy. Chen Mo agreed to the old man's condition, but in return, asked him for the location where he had found the stone. After reaching an agreement, the two began the transaction and moved to a more secluded spot to talk. Holding the stone in his hand, Chen Mo was quite satisfied. One piece was enough to set up a gathering formation, and the rest could be used to create a jade pendant for protection after breaking through to the second level of key condensation. A while later, in a house, the old man began asking about the stone's use. Chen Mo explained that the stone contained the essence of heaven and earth, which was not very useful for ordinary people, but had miraculous effects for cultivators. Immediately, the old man deduced that Chen Mo was a cultivator. Chen Mo had no intention of hiding this, and the old man was extremely excited to learn this. His master had always revered cultivators and martial artists, but had never met one. The old man had once thought that cultivators and martial artists didn't exist, but now, he unexpectedly had the opportunity to meet Chen Mo. The stone he had found was near the Haktui Pond on Vosin Mountain, and he also knew that there were many other stones in the area. However, he had never dared to venture deeper into the area because of a legend that a monster resided there. When Chen Mo asked if he had ever seen the monster with his own eyes, the old man admitted he had never seen it, but every time he got close, he felt a chill that scared him, preventing him from going further. These words further convinced Chen Mo that the pond contained something he was looking for. Chen Mo suddenly asked if the old man wanted to become a martial artist, which made the old man wide-eyed with surprise, thinking he had misheard. The old man knew that cultivating martial arts required talent, and given his age, he doubted he could start. However, Chen Mo firmly stated that if he said it was possible, it would be possible. Hearing this, the old man clasped his hands and called Chen Mo senior brother to thank him for the great favor. Chen Mo simply smiled and said the old man misunderstood. He raised his finger and easily sliced off a corner of the table, demonstrating his power. The path to cultivation was against the natural order, not dependent on age or status. Only strength determined the hierarchy. Witnessing Chen Mo's abilities, the old man was even more astonished. A martial artist in the inner realm could easily cut through such a hard object. He blamed himself for not recognizing the greatness in front of him. The old man then knelt and bowed his head, asking to become a disciple. However, Chen Mo told him that he was not qualified to enter the sect yet, so he would be a nominal disciple for now. Before leaving, Chen Mo reminded him that in a few days, he would return to teach him a cultivation method. Joining his sect came with no restrictions, so the old man should feel free to act as usual. When Chen Mo left, he suddenly realized he had forgotten to ask for the old man's name, feeling somewhat careless. Later, Chen Mo went back to his villa, placed the stone on the table, closed his eyes to calm his mind, and shouted loudly. Immediately, the stone shattered into small pieces. Chen Mo gathered the spiritual power and quickly set up the spiritual formation. The pieces of the stone rolled into the corners of the room, creating beams of light that converged in the air. This formation helped him increase his cultivation speed and solve the problem of lacking spiritual energy. At the Yan family villa, Yang Song was deep in thought after the family meeting. The Yan family had decided to call off the engagement with the Chen family. However, she did not want others to arrange her future. Leaving the Yan family would be dangerous, but she was determined to go to Saitang. If she encountered ordinary people, her servants could handle them. But if she met someone with extraordinary strength, she still had a master in the inner realm to protect her. Nevertheless, she doubted that this master would help her. But for Yang Sam, as long as she sought him out, it would be his choice whether to help or not. It was not up to him to decide. Meanwhile, Chen Mo continued his training in the gathering formation. He lost track of time until he opened his eyes and realized he had reached the key realm 2 days ahead of schedule. With this speed, he was sure to progress further and reach spiritual power sword transformation in another 10 days. Not wanting to waste time, Chen Mo sat back down to consolidate his skills. In this world, only strength could solve everything. The next morning, Chen Mo held a book in his hands, reading and thinking about the future. Tomorrow would be the day he would print out the annulment papers, the event that had turned him into a joke in his past life. But this time, he would make them pay dearly. Just then, Jian Yao called. He thought she was in trouble, but it turned out she wasn't. Jian Jiao called to inform him that her family's restaurant was opening today. Her parents had invited a few classmates to try the food, including Anqiu and Zheng Yuanhao, who were not on the guest list. So, Chen Mo could rest assured about attending. After getting the time and location, Chen Mo happily agreed. When he arrived at the restaurant, Jiang Yao was waiting outside. She let him in to greet her parents, and her mother teased her, saying she often mentioned Chen Mo, which made her blush. Chen Mo was about to offer congratulations and give a red envelope, but her mother was pulled away by someone else. Unable to do anything else, he placed the envelope on the table. Then Jiang Yao led Chen Mo into the dining area. However, the atmosphere in the room was awkward. The classmates all seemed uncomfortable with him, mainly because he was close to Jiang Yao, the goddess in their eyes. Only Zhao Gang seemed happy, enthusiastically waving at him. When Jiang Yao was about to check on the dishes, Wang Li stopped her and suggested she sit down and chat with everyone. Jiang Yao, being easygoing, agreed. Zhao Gang quickly called Chen Mo to sit with him, trying to show their brotherly bond. He even joked that this time, Chen Mo owed him a favor. However, the other classmates didn't like this. They had intended to provoke him, but Zhao Gang had beaten them to it. Meanwhile, Wang Li and a few others secretly exchanged glances, seemingly plotting something. Soon after, they intentionally mentioned the opening gifts. Wang Li excitedly said, "The lucky bamboo at the door was my gift." Then he pointed a sharp